Right. If you don't know me, my name is Edith Gendron. I am the Chief of Operations at Alzheimer's and Dementia Resource Center. As Ashley, I am a Positive Approach to Care certified trainer and consultant. I didn't have room for it here, but ADRC is now a Positive Approach to Care designated agency. So that's a really, really good thing. We're going to talk today about what do you do when the words aren't working, like right now, right? Words are working for you, but if you're caring for someone who is living with some form of dementia, the ability to communicate the way we are right now is going to change. So the way we talk about our world matters, okay? Even if our person isn't communicating with us the same way they once did. So we don't say words like the dementing illness or the demented person. And if somebody's saying that to you, you immediately know, okay, this person hasn't kept up with advances in our world, and so I probably need to be working with somebody else. We use the term person living with, fill in the blank. If we don't know what the diagnosis is, then it's person living with some form of dementia, okay? We do with our people, not to them. And that's an important distinction, because if our person feels that we're not taking their needs into consideration, especially when they can't use language, you're going to get kickback. You're going to get resistance. You're going to get escalated distressed behaviors, okay? Family is whoever cares about that individual. Doesn't need a marriage certificate, doesn't need a bloodline. Family is just that, whoever cares about that person in their intimate circle. I use the term voyage. You use whatever term works for you. Here's why I like voyage. Because if I think about the ocean, I think about a place that can be clear as glass, but there's always some stuff going on underneath there, and I'm never too sure what might rise to the surface. Right? Also, if you have one of those days where you've got some waves, things are doing this, right? And that's the life of our person. They're doing this. We don't have a neat and tidy straight line, okay? So we talk about states of mind. We don't talk much about stages, and you'll hear people talk about stages, people far smarter than me. But if you think of a stage, you think of a silo. Oh, my person's stage 1. Now they're stage 2. Now they're stage 3. And remember, that's not the way it goes. So we talk about states of mind. And what state of mind is your person today? Embrace the moment. It's today, right? It's today. We talk about brain changes. We don't talk about deficits. We don't talk about my person can't do any longer. We look at our folks and we say, what can my person do? What abilities do they have? Okay? Here's one that Sean is the owner of K2, who's Sean Stanton, who is partnering with us today. And the first time he heard me say response to the environment, he said, "Are you a psych major?" Instead of behavior. Behavior, we hear about children. Oh, difficult behavior. No, tough behavior. It's a response to the environment. We're all responding to our environments right now, internally and externally. So when we hear behavior, think response to the environment. There are distressed responses, not problematic behaviors. All right? No one's a problem. There are distressed responses. So here's something that we want to get rid of. Take it right out of your mouth and throw it away in the garbage. Don't and no, right? Don't and no. Oh, don't do that, Doris. Don't do that, Doris. Instead, and I can pick on Doris because she's my friend. Instead, we would say, Doris, do this, right? Doris, do this. I'm going to pick on you all afternoon, so you're going to be sorry you sat there, okay? So the other thing, and I don't have it here, but I want you to, we're talking about our people in communication today, but I can't not say this to you. You are all care partners, or at least interested in care partnering, so there's one thing, please never say, hi. I'm recognizing face. Never, ever say, at least not in my hearing, whoa, boy, have I been doing it wrong all this time. Oh, no, you have not. You are doing the very best you can with what you've got at the time. Resources, skills, techniques, strategies. Today, tomorrow might be different. And I'll hear people say, well, you know, I was really impatient today. That's a gift. That's a ding, ding, ding. I'm not taking good care of myself. I need to take time for myself so I can be the best care partner I can be to my person, right? And you keep hearing me say care partner. That comes from the person's living with some form of dementia. It's like, what do you mean caregiver? I'm involved here too. This is a partnership. Well, we like that, so we use it.
Thank you.
Yeah?
Just quickly, you may have mentioned this and I missed it, but will we have access to this show online, or should I take notes?
All the above. You see this camera that I keep messing up because I'm walking in and out? We're recording it. But as always, if you want this in a PDF format, email me. And please God, I think I put my email on here somewhere, but I'll give it to you in the end if I didn't, okay? So I put this in almost every workshop we do. Because you hear that. You hear physicians. You hear all kinds of people saying, oh, this is one of my favorites. Oh, my mom, she has a little dementia. That's like being a little pregnant, okay? Okay? It's going to get bigger fast. And dementia is not a diagnosis. Dementia is a category of symptoms. That means the person has had something changing in their brain to the extent that it's now interfering in their ability to function in daily life. We have to find out why. Because if we don't, we can do real damage. Particularly Lewy body dementia, or dementia with Lewy bodies, or Lewy body disease. If you don't know that your person has Lewy body dementia, they can be given the wrong medication and it can make them much sicker, but it can also, are you ready for drama? It can kill them. We need to know if someone has Lewy body dementia. Alzheimer's disease, there's multiple types, right? There's multiple types for ages. Vascular dementia, that usually comes through a stroke. Not everybody that's had a stroke, embolus, or a brain bleed is going to end up with vascular dementia. Frontal temporal, there's 3 different types. These are here just to give you a feel. These are the 4 primary types. But I stuffed this in here because, again, we go back to we have to get a valid diagnosis from people that know what they're doing. And that's memory disorder clinics. And I'm not doing commercials. I'm just giving you information. That's Dr. Creamer and Dr. Cole's office with Advent Health. We have a memory disorder clinic at Advent Health. We have a there is a memory disorder clinic at Orlando Health. Those are the teams that know what they're doing. Because look, things can be going on we can fix. Normal pressure hydrocephalus is one of them. If you don't find out about that and fix it in time, then we've got real problems, right? If it's a vitamin B12 deficiency or thyroid disorders, sometimes allergies, things develop as we age. So people say to me often, oh, you know, my mother was never allergic to, fill it in. It's like, okay, but she's 80 and she has been sensitized to that thing for 80 years, and now she's having a bad reaction to it, and now it can very well be affecting the way she thinks. Medication side effects, depression. We'll talk a little bit more about depression, but depression will often manifest as some form of dementia, and often someone who develops some form of dementia will also develop depression. Depression can be treated, and it should be, all right, because it complicates things. Okay, so here's some things to remember. We're going to talk about strategies today, and you're the boss. So think about it this way. Here's the toolbox. You're going to be plunking in some tools, but it's your job to pick up the hammer and decide which way am I going to use the hammer, the screwdriver, the wrench. Okay? You know best about your person. So if I say, well, here's an idea, it's up to you to make that idea work for your person. Okay? Not every strategy that we talk about is going to work for you. People will say, oh my gosh, if I tried that, then don't try it. Okay? But do, those you try, give them a chance. Give them a chance to work. Don't try it once and say, oh, it didn't work. Give them a chance come at it a little differently. We'll talk a little bit about bathing. Isn't that a fun topic? Okay. Give it a chance, right? So again, this is one of those things I always say. Even, I don't care if your person is Pearl, and Pearl is the state of mind that means they're largely uncommunicative. It's probably time that they're going to be leaving us. If they have a sudden change in behavior, always, always, always think that it might be a urinary tract infection, because that can be corrected. My niece called me, sent me a little video clip, and she said, "What is wrong with Dad?" My brother-in-law, Michael, had young onset. He was sitting in a wheelchair, and he kept rocking forward, and he was making these really guttural, distressed sounds. My question to her was, what's he doing in a wheelchair? Michael was an executive. He walked all the time. He had good shoes. He was on flat ground, a flat floor like this. She said, "Oh, he fell." "What do you mean your father fell?" "Well, yeah, they found him on the floor." It's like, okay, let's stop right there. Get him to the ER. Sure enough, he had a urinary tract infection that required him to be hospitalized for 3 days on IV meds to get rid of. Right? What was the change? Michael fell. Something that we could easily dismiss, right? Because where's Lakea? He'll testify to it. I fell. We were doing this one time. I tripped and fell. Anyway, so if your person always gets up and now they don't want to get up, if your person doesn't want to eat, or if they start eating too much, "Hey, how are you? Come on in, sit down," right? Sudden change. Doesn't matter where they are. Here's that B word, right? It's the response to the environment, and the environment is incredibly powerful for our people, right? We feel something. My Aunt Rosie, she was my godmother. We lost her to complications of Alzheimer's disease, and she and my mom were sitting on the side porch one day, one hot day, kind of like today, and she looked at my mom and she said, "Kate, I'm hot." Whew, yanked that shirt right off. And my mom looked at her and she said, "Ro, let's go in the house. It's cooler there." Right? So, okay. So her response to the environment was it was hot. She was hot. So what is she going to do about it? What do? We need to cool off. Filter's gone. Off comes the shirt. So we feel something, we react. It can be internal, as it says here, and it can be both. Right? It can be both. So you're having a sad day. You're not having a great day. And I use this as a cheap excuse, and so a kitten commercial comes on and you start crying. So yes, you're responding to the kitten commercial, but because you're having internally, you're not having a good day. Does that make sense? Okay. So look for cues. We often say, and we're usually right about it, right, Diane? That a distressed response is the result of an unmet need. We get to be the detectives and try to figure out what need is it that isn't being fulfilled. Right? So if I had come walking in here like this, what would you might think? What might you think if I came in like this today? Something hurts, yeah. Is it a change in my behavior? Usually, right? But you'd have to know me for that. Yeah, so what's going on? What does your person's face look like? And here's a sidebar. What does your face look like? Because there's a difference in, "Hey, I love you, Doris," and, "Yeah, I love you, Doris." Right? Lots of difference there, okay? What's going on? Is there talking? Is there crying? What kind of verbalization? What kind of auditory sounds are happening? Right? This one gets interesting. We call it, are you ready for the fancy words? Responding to internal stimuli. Woohoo! That means that my person is seeing something or hearing something, maybe feeling something that I can't. Notice how I said that? That I can't, right? But if I say, if someone is saying, oh, don't go there, the little kids are there, and I say, "There's no little kids there," we are off to the races, right? So my My guy that was one of my residents many moons ago, he'd come down the hallway like this in the morning. Mind the babies, mind the babies, mind the babies. And we learned to mind the babies. We'd stay out there, right? He had his grandchildren with him every morning, a pleasant thing that we couldn't see. And here's my favorite part of that story. When it came time for mid-morning snack, he needed one for all the babies. Right? Right? That's a situation that we wouldn't interrupt. You need to know what's going on, but you're not going to interrupt that. You might think, okay, so, he's got all the grandkids with him, or, the fairy's under the stool or something, because it's pleasant. It's when it becomes distressful that we need to interrupt it. So my lady, who was having distressful, she could never be in this room. Distressful responses. Because there's men there. There's men. Get them out. Get them out. There's men there. There's men coming in the glass windows. So what do? Cover the windows, right? We cover the windows. Again, back to my brother-in-law, Michael. He responded strongly to any reflection. So, oh my gosh, it looked like a Catholic church on Thursday, right? Where everything was covered. Because if he saw a reflection, originally it was friends and he'd laugh and he'd wave, and then it became people that were trying to hurt his daughters. So we always start with an environmental response. Cover the mirrors, right? Cover the windows. If that isn't sufficient, remember, give it time. Right? Then you're going to talk to a physician that understands what's going on about the smallest dose of some sort of medication to help with that vision for the shortest period of time. Smallest dose, shortest period of time. Okay? I got another little video from my niece months and months and months later, because Michael went from, hey, hi, to his friends, to people coming and trying to hurt, right? So he was put on some pretty strong medication. So then I get this texted video, and Michael is walking with his other daughter outside on pavement. Get him to the ER. That's called tardive dyskinesia. He was over-medicated, right? So back to the ER goes poor Michael. They take him off of almost everything. So if you are using that sort of thing, the Seroquels, please don't use Ativan, but if you're using the Seroquels and other sorts of psychiatric medications, smallest dose, shortest amount of time, and sometimes you have to titrate up, but keep an eye on it because the person's going to progress. Okay? The person's going to progress. Okay. So, here are some really important things for you to know. And if you want to take a picture of this, you're fine, or you can email me and I'll send you the PDF. So, early in this development of illness, your person starts losing 1 in 4 words. 1 in 4 words. If that word is an action word or a noun, you're going to get this collision of new meaning that you didn't intend at all. Right? 1 in 4 words. They're losing consonants. Right? So I'm smiling and I'm nodding, and she's going to smile and she's going to nod, and then I'm just going to go right in and reach for her, and she's going to hit me because she doesn't know me and I'm grabbing for her chest. What she didn't understand is I was saying, hey, how are you today? It's time for your shower. Are you okay with it? And she nods and she's yes, and bang, we're in trouble. Right? So loss of consonants, 1 in 4 words. And how many times, right? You're talking to your person and everything's going fine and you go, what? 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 It's not hearing, it's a loss of understanding. So it's not what I can't hear you, it's what the heck are you talking about? Right? The other thing to remember is your person's mind is now processing that language in takes about 90 seconds. So if I'm talking like this, I'm going to lose your person right away because the mind can't keep up with it. So we learn to build in pause. We learn to build in change shirt, demonstrations, right? Okay. Let's talk about this. I know Ashley talked about it with you too, but it's important to understand, right? So the sign language is language is on the left. You got Broca's area, and it doesn't matter. Language on the left and rhythm on the right. And rhythm, as you know now from Ashley, can include music. It can include poetry. It can include prayer. Here's a little test. Our Father, who art in heaven. Right? Boom. I had someone else do this. My baloney, he has a first name. It's O-S-C-A, right? So rhythm. So the other thing that happens is we got language on the left, and then we have these special words. Did you ever ask your mom what certain words meant? And she went, I don't ever want to hear that come out of your mouth again. If I do, right? So your brain goes, ooh, this is a special word. We're going to move it over here to the rhythm side. Unfortunately, what else gets moved over here are ugly words. Oh, you're stupid. Oh, you're just so dumb, right? Those get moved over there. Racial epithets get moved over there. And that's one of the very few times I will tell you to step right in right away and say, I'm really sorry, my person has brain changes, does not understand what's going on, and get them out of there, because you cannot insult people, right? Even with a brain change, right? So you've got some not so great things going on here. Let me give you an example. And I'm going to say it because you need to get, if you're not used to it already, you need to get used to hearing those fancy words. So my colleague, who has since retired, he cared for his mom. She had Alzheimer's disease. And every Thursday, they would go to their place for lunch, and they would have lunch. And everything was always fine. He knew to put her back to the majority of the restaurant and that kind of thing. And then one day, in come the teenagers. This group of teenagers, and teenagers are louder than usually you and I, and they're boisterous. These weren't bad kids. These were just active kids. So they came in and they sat down right next to my colleague and his mom. Now picture this, stereotypical West Virginia Southern belle. The hair's coiffed. She takes little bites, and she chews and swallows. And the kids are over here laughing and giggling. You want a pizza? You want this? You want that? Da, 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 da. And Jerry, my colleague, said, I give you my word. I promise you, I honestly didn't know my mother knew that word. Getting ready? So she's chewing and the kids are going. And she swallows, and this sweet little lady turns and looks at the kids and says, would you shut the fuck up? Right? Jerry's like, so what do we think, right? Mom, you can't talk like that in public. What's the matter? No. What did Jerry do? Because Jerry understood you always have to be on the side of your person. He looked at the kids and he said, I guess you better listen to her. Right? Not always the most comfortable thing. And I have had daughters in tears say to me, you know, my mother uses terms I've never even heard of before. And let me tell you, I've learned some things too. And it's like, okay, the point is we can't do anything about it, but we can remove them from those situations that cause those special words to be used. All right, so don't, here we go, rule number 91, don't take it personally. All right, she would have said that to any noisy group. It had nothing to do with those kids in particular. So if someone says something hurtful to you, please don't take it personally. All right? Now, social chit-chat. This will get us in trouble for sure. Right? Because it's here, it's upper level, right? It's over here with the rhythm. Hi, how are you today? Oh, fine, good. It's really warm. Oh, yeah, it's warm. And our people can talk back and forth with that social chit-chat and fool ya. right? It's when you try to, yeah, oh, it's a beautiful day here at the Edith Bush, right? It's a little warm outside. We're in Winter Park, and your person's going to start going, where? Right? So social chit-chat, that give and take, that rhythm is not an indicator of ability. The way the person uses the language is the indicator of where they are now. So if your person says, gee, I'm hungry, Doris, I'd like a ham sandwich for lunch. Okay, then Doris is, okay, you want wheat bread, you want rye bread, what kind of bread do you want? Okay, cool. With progression, it may be, Doris, hungry. Now Doris has got a job to do, right? I'm hungry. She doesn't, okay, great. She's hungry. I know she needs to eat. Well, ham sandwich, soup. Always give a choice. Ham and show it if you can. Get the ham out. Ham, show the soup, right? Because visual is how our brains work best. All right? So, tactile changes, that's touch, right? All our senses. The one that causes the most surprise and the strongest reaction is the shower. Okay, so our person's in the shower, everything's going pretty good until one day no, I'm not getting in the shower. No, because now it hurts. The brain has changed, and that water hitting the skin from the shower hurts. Here's a commercial. There's a product, and I learned this from a woman who's living with Alzheimer's disease. There's a product called Scrubs, Scrubzz, and they're kind of like wipes, but you dip them in warm water, and you can wash all over with them, and then you're done. You don't have to rinse or do anything, and she loves them. She cannot handle the shower hitting her anymore. All right? Here's something. Some people will do that rhythm on the right thing and be ugly and and some people will recognize, oh boy, I don't want to talk like that. And so now, poor Doris, she's going to get so sick of me. Now I know that Doris is my helper. She's my person. She's my care partner. So if I stay right here, I don't have to worry about anything because Doris has got me covered. And Doris, she can't even go to the bathroom, right? We've seen that to real distress. That will really cause distress for a care partner, right? So, but recognize that it's a communication thing. It's the anxiety of saying something inappropriate that is still being recognized. So, but if I stay right here, Doris is going to talk for me because I'm going to get mute because I don't want those bad words to come out. Right? Okay, so keep that in mind. If your person's stuck to you like a little burr, yeah, what are we worried about? Okay? So here's your gift. And I know Ashley talked about it. Remember the rhythm on the right. This is retained. These are the things you can use to talk with your person. Find the music that works best for them. My mother loved opera, right? And paradoxically, she also loved country music, right? So depending on where we wanted to go with someone that has, a love of music, is you choose the music that's calming or you choose the music that's energizing. It depends. It all depends on your person. This is what I said. The strategy might be good, but you've got to know what music works, right? Poetry, same thing. These are retained rhythmic types of communication, okay? And prayer, let's just piggyback on to, I don't know if you heard Dr. Laws earlier today. She's talking about meditation. Well, prayer is a form of meditation. And meditation is very peaceful and calming. And as we all know, and this will reveal some of you, Hail Mary. Full of grace. Right? Okay, so now we know where the Catholics are in the crowd. We're here. And actually, just to a total aside, I bought this ring in memory of my mother, and it has the Hail Mary on it because she was devoted to the Blessed Mother. But anyway, okay, so When we need to communicate, we have to make a connection. And this is where we get down to brass tacks. So if I just come, if I'm a care partner, and I just come walking in and I'm like, okay, come on, let's go, it's time for lunch. No, stop. Even if I'm her kid, or if you're the person's spouse. The issue is, you've got to make that connection. So I'm going to pick on you again, Doris. I'm going to stay about 6 feet away, nothing to do with COVID, everything to do with her visual ability now. We'll talk about this in a minute. Her visual fields are changing. Right, so I'm going to be right in front of her, always approaching from the front, because I'm not going to come up behind her and scare her, because then holy cow are we off to the races. So, good morning, Doris. And depending on where my mom is, you notice I called her my mom, but I said Doris. With progression, if I say, hey mom, it's your daughter Edith, she could very well come back with you or not. My daughter is 6 years old. Who do you think you are? Right? Again, know your person. Early on, hi mom, it's Edith, or hi mom, it's your daughter Edith. You're giving her what she needs to know, right? And then I'm going to reach for her, and hopefully she'll reach back to me. And now we've got a connection, we've got a visual connection, right? So now that's the wave that I'm talking about here, right? So then we can carry on. What is that I'm sorry business? I'm sorry is a technique. You can use I'm sorry. You're not saying that I did something wrong, right? So Doris is having kind of an iffy day, and I foolishly left my bag out, my purse out. And Doris worked hard all her life, and she sees my purse, and she picks that purse up, and she's heading for the door. I got to go to work. Going to work, and I'm like, okay. So I could say, now, come on, Mom, you haven't worked in 30 years. What's the matter with you? What? Have you lost your mind? Are you really that stupid? I'm like, okay, so see? Or I can kind of go with her and pray like heck somebody made sure the door was still secure and get over, and she's like, I gotta go to work. I'm like, now always match your person's intensity. Mom or Doris, I am so sorry. I forgot. They called. They said your shift was canceled. I can't believe I forgot to tell you. And she very well may say, well, when were you going to tell me? When I got halfway there, I'm so sorry, right? The point is maintaining Doris's dignity. Doesn't matter really. What matters is maintaining Doris's dignity. And there's no dignity in trying to pull her bag away, trying to say, no, come on, back here, sit down, let me put the TV, I got to go to work, right? Or, I got to go, my plane is coming. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. They called, your flight was canceled. I am so sorry. I'm not staying here, I'm going home. I'm going home. This isn't my home. Well, I'm sorry, yeah, you're right. But, you know, it's clean and they have good food. And so if we could just stay here one night, and you know, I got a headache and it's getting dark, and you know, I don't like to drive in the dark anymore. What you're doing is you're entering their world and using whatever logic you can find that works for them. It's not about you, right? What works for them. Okay, I keep setting this. See? Oh, Lord have mercy. Okay, so let's talk about some specific strategies and techniques. So we've kind of gone here, right? Don't argue or show no. No arguing, get rid of no, get rid of don't, get rid of showing no. And let's see. So anyway, so showing no can be, oh, right? You're going to, the person, Doris, can I pick on you? Can I touch your bag? Okay. So Doris is trying to use this bag as something to put her dirty clothes in. And it's clearly not meant for that. So instead of, oh, no, 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 Mom, no, I'll be like, oh, wow. Well, you know, this is cool. They can, if they go in here, then we can wash the whole thing together. And so I hand it to her, and I take this away, and I make it go away. So if she's brushing her teeth with her hairbrush, I bring up the toothbrush, get her to take it. Notice I don't say, oh no, you're doing it wrong, or this will work better, right? Why? The toothbrush is softer, fits in your mouth, won't poke your cheek, right? And you make the thing that the person is using, that they shouldn't be using for whatever reason, go away. So you drop a towel over the bag, or you drop it in a drawer, but you make it go away. And here's a little off-topic thing, that holds true for cars. I told my niece that. I said, yeah, if Michael's not driving anymore, you got to make that car go away. You can park it, you know, in a garage, locked it, whatever. Make the car go away. She's like, well, you know, that's too inconvenient. Okay. So Michael, remember he was an executive? So she took the keys, and that was good enough, right? So until Michael, having a good day, called the dealership and said, I need you to come and replace my ignition. Make it go away, right? Make it go away. So one of the things that you want to be sure you're looking at is look at what's going on. What's going on around you. Is your person starting to get nervous or twitchy or responding in any way that shows distress? What's going on around them? If you can't remove the problem, remove them from the problem. I use the mall at holiday season, right? We always used to go shopping. We'd look at all the decorations in the mall. We'd have lunch until that doesn't work. We had a family call. They were at Disney, and they thought that it would be a really, really good idea this one last Christmas for everybody to come to Disney until they found day 2, Grandpa crawling on the floor because it was too much for him. Sensory overload, all right? So if we can't remove the problem, we move the person from the problem. Always, always, always encourage your person on their strengths and what they can do, right? If you need somebody's help, you say things like, you're so good at this. You're so good at this. Will you help me? Will you help me? And help me do what? Fold the clothes, sort the beans, whatever the person finds productive. You're so good at this. I need your help. Those are good keywords to use for your person. How do you know what they can succeed at? Well, you know by, again, knowing your person. You know by watching how many steps there are to this task. If there's 6 or 7 or 8 steps, one step at a time. How many steps are there to brushing your teeth, right? Right? First, you got to recognize you need to brush your teeth. You got to find all that stuff. Anyway, so you may end up having to put the toothpaste on the toothbrush and then hand it to your person. Brushing your teeth with them is a great idea because that gives them something to kind of, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Yeah. Without being diminishing, without, right? Right. Okay, simple and routine. Routine is the backbone of the good day. Right? And by simple, I think clutter. In that bathroom, everything's off the counter. Everything's off the counter. You only put on the counter, you only put on the dining table, you only put in front of your person that which they need to do the task at hand. You don't fling open the cupboard, the closet doors. You pull out the clothes and lay them on the bed. And again, this is with progression. This is communication. It also avoids that accelerated response, right? What is that keep talking thing? Didn't you just say? Keep talking is for that pearl stage. That stage where people are quiet. They haven't communicated in any way that you really could kind of understand. But it's things like, Mom, I'm going to touch you now. Right? Or Doris, I'm going to touch you. I'm going to touch your shoulder. And when we're talking about that pearl stage, again, also some people call it the goodbye stage, you want to put the flat of your hand on a major joint. Presumptively, they're sitting or laying in bed, right? So you put the flat of your hand on a shoulder, firm but light pressure. Here comes another fancy word, that's called proprioception. That allows their brain to know where you are, but also where they are. It helps their brain locate them in space. Or you can put it on a hip, right, if they're laying down. Now here's the catch to that. You have everything ready and hopefully a helper. Because when you do this, it has to stay there until you're done with whatever it is you're trying to do. So if you're trying to get somebody dressed or washed or cleaned up, you need to keep that proprioception going. Okay? So always have everything ready and always try to have help. Okay? So we've talked about that. What's the time travel thing? When we talk about Alzheimer's disease, it starts in the hippocampus usually, except for when it doesn't. Then it's fun to diagnose. And the hippocampus, in part, is responsible for wayfinding, right? Where are you? Who am I? How did I get here? What am I doing? So time travel. You're not my kid. You're not my kid. My kid's 6. Oh. She's 6 now? Wow, is she in school? Well, of course. So you join them, you talk about it. Get out some old books, right? What am I saying? Picture books, right? Photo books, okay? If you are new to this voyage and your person is new to their illness, this is a critical time to get important information. Find out what matters, what music matters, what shows matter. Right? There's a reason you walk into assisted living facilities and there's a gazillion and 20 DVDs there, right? And it's not out of laziness. It's because of what works for those folks. Usually they are indicative of the age of the residents, right? So you probably won't see Grey's Anatomy, but you might see Rifleman or, the older things that our parents watched and liked. All right? So, remember, simple communication. How they're talking to you is the way they understand. All right? And it's okay. It's okay to say, I'm here, I'm not leaving. And it's helpful if you're touching your person then, right? Because you can feel the body, right? The body's response. I'm not going anywhere. I'll remember with you. Some daughters and sons and spouses have said, I'll remember for you. I got this. Don't you worry about it, right? Reassurance is important. And it's okay to say, Mom, I really hate this too. When they're showing you that they're not thrilled today with this voyage they're on. It's okay to acknowledge that because grief runs through everything we do on this voyage, including in our person. So here's another thing. I can say something like, okay, we're going to go to my brother's on Friday and we're going to have hamburgers. So I need to stop at Publix on the way home and get some hamburgers and probably some buns, right? And so now my sister's like, okay? And she's like, no. No. Too much, too soon. Shouldn't need to know that now.
Or sometimes do you find they switch and they're like, well, we got to go do that now.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. That's absolutely. So we wait until, and again, this is so dependent on your person. So we wait until Friday and I say, let's go for a ride. Let's stop at Joe's. Hey, let's have a burger with them, right? Give your person the information they need when they need it and in the way they need it, right? Because if you get no's, you're giving them too much too soon. So try to keep that in mind, all right? Please look at this one here, no expectations. Everything you knew And everything you love about your person, if it hasn't already changed dramatically, it will. So if you have expectations of the way they should respond, the way they should behave, based on the way they were, you're just adding more hurt to yourself. And I can't say that any stronger than that. No expectations. How's today going to go? It's going to go the way it goes. This bracelet says embrace the moment for a reason. Okay, it's right here, right now. Okay? So if I expect, then I am setting my person up for potential failure. And now we're having problems. All right? So always point to the object. So if I want my person, here's an example. I don't have too many props with me, but if I think my person wants coffee and I'm not sure, but I know my person and they drink coffee every morning, I might pick up a mug and say, coffee? And here's another thing. Maybe I need my person to move a little more, and they're not, and I know they like the coffee, so I get the empty coffee mug, and I say, here. And I give them the coffee. Let's get coffee. Let's get coffee. Coffee. Now they're up and walking with me, right? Up and walking with me. So keep that in mind. What is this matching your pace? That's not so much physical, but you should, especially if your person's distressed, doing this, and you're going to match the pace, and you're going to slow it down, and they'll slow down with you. But what that is, matching the pace of the verbalizations. Okay, back to the way your person uses the language is the way they understand it. So that's nice. That walker. Give me time to get it out. Don't jump in and say, you talked about the walker? Give me time to get it out. Remember, 90 seconds minimum delay over progression. So sometimes, and then that is, it was, and I wanna what? Show me. Show me. Maybe your person can show you, right? Can you show me? Especially if your person has more than one language, give lots of time, because probably, have you ever learned a foreign language other than your native language, okay? And when you were learning that language, you had to stop and think, what's the word for water? Okay. Same thing's happening here. They've got a lot to run through to find the word they're looking for. Give them time. Right? We talked about I'm sorry, and we talked about replace, don't take away. So here's what you're going to do, right? We talked about approaching slowly from the front and the eye contact, smile, keep your body loose, because if I come in and say, morning, Doris, maybe I'm upset with somebody, she's going to pick up on the upset. She's not going to know that it doesn't have anything to do with her. As our person's brains change and their abilities change, one thing that remains really intact and actually tends to increase is their intuitiveness. Things like my mother-in-law went to see her sister who was leaving because of Alzheimer's disease. And when she came out, she said she didn't even know I was there. I said, oh yeah, she did. She knew a really sweet lady was there that brought her favorite chocolates and pretty flowers. Did she know it was Catherine? No. But she knew that there was love there. And that's what we have. Remember, no expectations? That's what we have to hang on to, that there is the love and the devotion there, right? So we remain pleasant and calm and supportive. Point, touch, demonstrate. Brush your teeth. As I said, brush your teeth with your person, because they're going to learn that from you, okay? And I'm sorry, it's really fun to have a spitting contest in the drain. So try it. Try it, right? And Doris is like, where did she come from? And remember, all responses have meaning. It's our job to figure out what response. This can be a real bad guy, right? We think of media, we immediately think of the television. So you want to be real careful, because the ability to differentiate between reality and things that are on TV become kind of blurred. And remember the loss, right, of language, loss of words. So if they're looking at issues going on in the Ukraine, they may think that's downtown wherever you live, right? So I would tell you to watch carefully. And I know it's tough, because I know a lot of people are glued to that TV, but if it's causing distressed responses, you got to make that TV go away, right? Now you can unhook the cable, you can hook in, gosh, do people even use DVD players anymore? And then that's where you play the good old shows that they did like. But don't dismiss newspapers and magazines, right? You want to be very, very careful about what your person's being exposed to, all right? If what you're doing is, this isn't really going so well, what does this stand there and do nothing? That means if you don't do anything right now, we may get over the hump. So, come on, it's time, Max, it's time for your shower. No, I don't need a shower. You're done. No means no. Right here, right now, we're done. We're not having a shower. At least for 2 hours, preferably not until tomorrow. And guess what? He's already taught me, Max, it's time for your shower means no. So I'm going to say something like, let's freshen up. Or, hey, let's have a spa day. Right? And remember those scrubs. Those are handy things. The point is, come back later, use different language, and try it again. So stand there and do nothing. Okay, no means no. We're doing nothing right now. Look at what you're doing. Make little changes, right? Little changes. Don't throw the whole thing out, right? For example, I was at a friend's house, and their spouse is Ruby, which is leaning into Pearl. And don't worry about, like, what is she talking about, gems? Those are states of mind. Don't worry about it. We're doing workshops on those next month, I think. Ruby is toward the end. And in front of the spouse, who was sitting very nicely at the table, was a colorful bowl of fresh fruit. Right? Colorful bowl of fresh fruit. And so what did he do? Reached in with his fingers, right? Now he did. He reached in, he pulled out a strawberry, and that was that. That was cool. But make small changes. If you're not comfortable with that, so we're just going to move the bowl away. We aren't going to take him away. We're going to put a little fruit in a little bowl in front of him. We're going to take the big serving bowl away. Make small changes. Make small changes. All right? If you're having a tough time, in Savvy Caregiver, that's that big binder out there, we use this example. There was a husband who seemingly randomly would start banging on doors with his fists. Sometimes it'd be the front door, sometimes it'd be the bathroom door, whatever door in the house, just whenever, randomly, he'd start banging on the doors. And the wife was a Savvy Caregiver, so she's like, what is going on? So she started to keep a little journal. And journals are really, really good things. And so she wrote down the date, the time of day, what was going on outside, what door. And so 4 or 5 times into this, she's got all this recorded, and then she starts looking at what was going on. She can't find any patterns, except in the what was going on column, the wind was blowing, connected to every time he was banging on the door. So she didn't do anything about it, because she's like, okay, cool. There's something about the wind, causes him to bang on the door, doesn't bother me, it's good. She knew that that wasn't an unmet need. All right? Okay, so stay calm. If you naturally have a high voice, drop your chin, because it'll shorten up your vocal cords. You don't want that high squeaky voice. Sorry, all of our sopranos. Drop your chin, okay? And of course, we aren't going to talk like a baby to you is so cute, because that's annoying as all get out, and they're not going to understand because they're missing things, right? So, and as we know, body language does convey meaning. We've talked about this. So we're going to approach openly, slowly, and here, and right? This should be number one, because if you're not there, who is? It's not this, right? People think that. It's like, here's the care partner, and so I got to hold up my person. It's this, equal. You got to come together, right? If you're not coming together, then no doubt about it. Did you know we lose 50% of our care partners who don't have help? 50% of them die before the person they're caring for. If you don't have help. Here's a statistic that ought to scare the daylights out of you, straight from our own Ira Goodman. For care partners who do not have the help they need, keep that in mind, who are caring for someone with Alzheimer's disease or other form of dementia, they run a risk at 300% greater of developing Alzheimer's disease themselves because they didn't have the help they needed. All right? So care for yourself. Right. Communication doesn't matter if you're not taking care of yourself. Let me show you the handshake. Doris, can we do the handshake? So hi, remember I said she reaches out. So we take each other's hands in a conventional handshake, but now I'm going to turn my hand over and her hand's on top. She's the one with the disease, right? And now I've got my hands here and I can help her. Right? It's called hand under hand. Also, what's important to note is this part of her hand and this part of my hand, when they touch, there's immediate comfort. If she's particularly distressed, I'm going to put my other hand over hers and I'm going to just give a little squeeze. That's going to tell her brain, okay, 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 she's got you. It's okay. It's okay. All right? Slowly and clearly. Don't talk the way I'm talking today. I think we have a minute. This is showing you, use what you know about your person. So, and this is my favorite one because if you know me, you know country music isn't my favorite. So they're driving along and country music is on the radio and the mom starts to get really upset, right? The daughter remembers, oh, she never did like country music, changes the music, mom calms down, and the ride goes on to be okay and safe. And this is coming to us out of Canada. Their Alzheimer's Society is fabulous. Then there is one, and this one I thought was particularly profound. They're bringing in German Shepherds to visit the residents. And this poor man has a really, really strong response. A distressed response. And then someone remembers, oh geez, he was in a concentration camp, guarded by German Shepherds. We got a call any number of years ago, from a group in Broward County. And they had just, at great expense, redone all the bathrooms in their very large assisted living. Okay? Our people won't use them. Well, tell me about your bathrooms. Well, they're beautiful. They're all tiled in white. And we have, we don't bring everybody in there together, but we have multiple showers where they can, have a high one or a low one, right? Guess who the predominant population was in that place? Jewish folks.
Oh.
Right? White showers? No, that's not happening. Right? So know your people. All right? Okay. And this one is sweet too. Maria, she's got all those kids. She's used to it. And she was having some stressy behaviors. And then they realized that if they gave her something to do that she could do, then that would, occupy her, keep her in what we call these, I feel like Timothy Leary now, the zone of contented involvement. Because that's where we want our folks, right? The least amount of stress and the greatest amount of engagement. And so she was using her skills that were retained to set the table and help care for her family the way she was used to. So meet where they are. So tell me, based on just looking, what do you see? What about this guy? What can you tell me about this guy? World War II, military. Smiling, yeah. What about this guy? Not a great picture, but military. Yep. Okay, here, now tell me about this guy.
Left or right?
I'll tell you a secret. It's the same kid. Oh. Here's the little boy. Here's the grown-up boy. What can you tell me right away about this guy? Yeah, fishing's important, right? Yeah, yeah. Okay, all right. It's 2 o'clock. We're done. Thank you, thank you, thank you.